discuss that afterwards, Brenda.
She said we'll discuss it after.
Okay. All right, call the meeting to order at 12:12. Being that we have a couple of new members, why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? Josephine Fernandez Byrne, Chair. You're on, Linda.
Linda Duke, member. Betty Brown, member. Vivian Merle. New member. Brenda Goodwin, member.
Patricia Simpson, new member to the board.
Elena Cartier. What is my side?
Assistant Chair.
She said.
Second Chair.
Believe it or not, she represents me. I might not be.
Okay.
Thank
New
you.
business, let's talk a little bit about how we felt the town hall meeting went, what things we liked, what things we think could have been better, and did you guys think that we accomplished what we set out to do? Please be honest.
That was the town hall meeting with the,
With the
Accessory.
accessory, yes.
okay. First thing for me, like I spoke to the young lady that did the presentation. And I explained to her.
The lady did the presentation or did the guy do the presentation?
The lady
The
did.
lady,
Yeah.
the lady did the presentation. And I was able to speak to her after, when the superintendent had a problem. And years ago, we had a subsidized receipt.
They give you what?
A receipt. that you
Yes,
paid.
yes, I remember with my mom, yeah.
They stopped doing that receipt.
Mm.
For the last 5 or 6 years, at the end of the year, I would call them and what is it, transit administration, whatever. And they would send me a letter that stated, I had 4 trips, 5 trips, 100 trips, and at that time, how much each trip cost. That's, when I presented that letter this year, it wasn't my housing assistant, it was some manager, I bet. She told me it was unacceptable. Where the receipt is missed, they had receipts in 2 years. I don't have any receipts, it's unacceptable.
So who was demanding the receipts?
The manager, we had someone, so I explained to her, because they have all my medical. See, I'm the time, I'm going back to work to the doctor. I have a step on the right side of my kidneys. I have 2 knee replacements with a chip in it, I was born, I got no teeth out of my hand. Same thing with the kidney. Because of the kidney, I had lost sight in the back of the, anyway, that's your thing. The lady told me it was unacceptable. And when I do go, wherever I'm going, I take my home attendant. Because when I go, she'll need to so-and-so off, she'll be able to call my daughter. The lady said, well, I don't know who was doing it for the last 4 or 5 years, and I hope they no longer not employed. So when she left,
This was the lady that spoke, that said
yeah,
that.
the manager of development.
The one was at.
No.
No, she told about housing.
Housing,
Housing.
housing. Oh, yeah. And when she left, my home attendant went in her pocket, and she gave me $20. I said, what is this? What's $2? She said, for you to be able to go back and forth to the doctor. I said, I don't need no money to go back and forth to the doctor. I appreciate it, but no, I don't need it.
This is what you told the girl at the meeting, and what happened to you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, I did.
okay.
And the only reason I said that, because she said, look, there's a whole lot of individuals that live in public housing. She said, I don't know how they deal with ABC or whatever, how they go through it every year. She said, but that's one thing we need to do, sit down with the housing authority.
But it needs to be a universal, it can't
Yeah.
be this one does one thing and somebody else does, it has to be a universal
Yeah.
across the board.
That's-
So what did the lady said that came to the meeting, that spoke?
And she said, they need to sit down with the housing authority. You know how many seniors live in the housing authority and get folks stuck, use this as a line 99 times.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm going through that problem, not that I don't have the money to go to the doctor, but if I'm going that number of times and I don't have a receipt from yours, because we don't get receipts, but you've been doing it for the last 5 years, so you don't know what to pay for a receipt for this, you have. And I asked, because if I get $20 increase in my social security, my rent go up $40. But I just put it on right
Want
on.
me to sit there?
So, I'm gonna back up with the doctor.
That's
The 17th go Friday, because at the end of the year, I go to Friday, I get a print out. How much my medicine, how much they can pay you, how much will you do for it. You dig what I'm saying? Because if I ain't got it, if I'm not able to pay you, I can't do it.
And
And
Rite
I
Aid
submit
gives
it, I submit that to the housing store. Oh, yeah. You don't have Friday in the morning, but I got that.
you CVS. So when Rite Aid was Rite Aid on 138th.
Oh, yeah.
They used to give you that, no problem.
No problem at all. Literally, all the service that I had, what was paid for the code. Automatic, and you know, understand, they would do it right.
So did you get any satisfaction from that conversation with the head of the
Well, the
accessory?
lady, they used to sit down with the housing authority.
They have to sit down with the house,
Yeah.
not you guys.
No, that me,
Okay, all right.
that's their job, but they
Sure,
don't
no,
want.
I agree, I agree.
We have
And
to
it
request
was-
that to happen, for it to happen.
Oh, they want to request it to have. I got the lady name, and everything.
Okay,
They have to request it to have.
so what we'll
But
do,
you're supposed to resident, you're supposed to resident.
So
since you,
she gonna let you know?
She gotta let me know what I'm supposed to, if I'm supposed to.
so Linda, you have to let us know in the committee so that we can follow up and make sure that it gets done. Well, I mean, you have to give them at least a couple of months to get their act together because, you know, nothing moves quickly when it comes to the city.
And then on the other hand, I spoke to the other lady. And I told her I had an appointment. And when the guy called me, I was invited downstairs. When I get to the elevator door is regular. It's skipping floors. So when it starts skipping floors, I'm going through a panic attack in my heart. The man called me back, he said, Mitch, I'm waiting. And I'm like, I'm trying to catch my breath. The elevator's skipping, I'm trying to get on it. I want to take a look, but I looked at me and I came upstairs. They came upstairs. He said, I came upstairs to help you. And by that time, a neighbor on my here had came in the hallway, she heard me. He took down the walker and she helped me upstairs. You know, but I'm just saying that we give credit for credit. I had some really good things.
Does anybody else have any, go ahead, Pat.
My thing is,
We're talking about the town hall meeting.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
My thing is about the town hall meeting with NTO. Okay, and my thing was that you guys weren't in tune with me when it was all set up and all. Because I had came to, that was the big confusion with everybody.
What do you mean we were not in tune with
When
the,
you saw me sitting at the table when the meeting
Yeah,
occurred.
yeah.
And everybody was surprised, well, why were you here while she's sitting at the table? You know, and you said.
because you're a committee member.
Yes, but, I had, called for the meeting, because I spoke to you after it had happened. I had several incidents with the seniors. And I had actually went to Diana Yala. And I told her I'm gonna set up a meeting, because I'm tired of complaining to Accessorize, and nothing is being done. We get stranded, or they'll come and they say they come and they don't show up, it's a no-show. And then like Linda said, sometimes you get good guys, but sometimes you don't get good guys. I was on the highway and the guy asked me for the money when I was on the highway. So I said, well, when we reach our destination, I'll give you the money. He actually turned around and said, you won't give me the money. And I'm on the highway, right? The cars are zooming by. So I'm saying, Mister, I'll give you the money. Just keep driving, right? And he was cussing me out and everything, you know, so it was just a big buildup. And I think that, you know, to sum it up, I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that I don't care where it was set up. I'm just glad that it happened. I think that we need to continue following up on it. I think that we need to continue to follow up on you with NYCHA, because they would have the meeting but it's a possibility that we don't know nothing about the
Oh, no, I
meeting.
might know about this.
So I think we all should be involved in the meeting,
Yeah, I know about this.
you know, as assessor participants. I think that we should all be in the meeting to find out the outcome.
And I'm not being funny, sarcastic. I've been going to a doctor on 91st Riverside Drive, not Riverside, West End. And I am so, over 7 years, especially after my little brother died, I guess, so, oh, never mind. I am so tired of them picking me up and I'm going across the George Washington Bridge. Cause they come straight up Riverside Drive and I'm like, he could have got off on 125th Street.
Following.
He got off on 135th and damn sure could have got off on
A lot of these drivers
And
are,
I'm looking, and I have been across
they don't
the
know.
bridge, but I see me on that side, I go, hold up.
They do
You know,
GPS,
instead of that,
GPS
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
They use their GPS, and
They don't-
GPS may take them wherever
Exactly.
they're going. They don't know the city, but they rely on
But they don't
GPS.
wanna listen to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move things along, guys. I just want to comment, Pat, on your comment. Yes, way before your incident happened, and we did hear about your incident where they had to go to Ayala's office and sent out a cab or pay for a cab for you. Months before that, we had been already trying to get access a ride. So it wasn't, yours was like, yeah, this was the last straw, but we had already invited Access a Ride for months before to come to our meetings, right, Mr. Jordan? And we were not able to get them. But of course, your problem kind of hit the nail on the head and said, yeah, we definitely need to get them in here ASAP. So we had been working on it, but they were the ones that kept canceling and, we couldn't get them to schedule the meeting.
Yeah, they was doing that with me also, cause I was trying to get them for months and months. I used to speak with Miss Betty about it all the time. But anyway, I'm glad that
Yes,
it's
it
over.
happened.
I'm glad that it happened, and I'm praying that it continues to happen. And as this board, we can keep it going.
Ms. Goodwin?
I didn't like the milieu at the meeting, period. When
The what?
when it first started out, we were sitting at the table. Because I don't know, it was like somebody else was supposed to take charge or whatever. And I said to you, well, you're the chairperson, where do we go from here? And that's when I said, well, hand me the mic, because as you said, we had started this months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, months ago. We had started something prior to that, because we had MTA at Lincoln. When, the one that resigned, he moved away. And me and him was the only one that showed up. So we've been on this for a minute. This is over a year or two. Hakeem, what's the guy that resigned? He was on the senior committee with us. It was number two, Herman and him on one of them. But people seem to feel, when I looked up, the chairperson was there, okay? You felt a certain way, and I heard you make the statement like, well, I was the one who initiated this. If the Diana or whoever had gotten involved, and we all supposed to be going through the community planning board, then this all should have been orchestrated through the chair. So that we all would have knew who was playing that one course, because we all are here for the same reason. But what happens, people go to other people have friends, and then when the meetings come up, we ignore that. But the policy and the process is you have a chairperson. If I'm wrong, correct me. You have a chairperson. Any meeting that comes before the board, that committee chair is responsible.
Yes.
Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So that's why, another thing, we all have been fighting these battles for years. Everybody at this table has been fighting in this district for years. We can't take nothing from nobody, okay? But at the same time, some are friendly with others, and some take the leeway that, well, I started this and started that. When I do something, I come before the chair. People may not like me, they may not like what I say, and I always say, if I'm not correct, tell me. That's all I'm saying. To go forward and to always do like we've been doing, just be on one accord.
Okay, can I say something about that? I don't like when you say, and I said that before, I don't like when you say, because people have friends.
Well, I feel that way.
because.
You can like whatever
it's
you
not-
wanna like.
No, I'm
But I
making,
feel that way,
all
because
right,
I
you have
know,
that right, but
That's
I
what
let
I'm
you
saying.
speak, and let me say my
that's what I'm
piece,
saying.
okay? You, like I said, I don't care who likes it and who don't either. We're gonna say what we have to
That's
say,
right,
but right, and it should be respected.
that's right,
Okay, I respect you, I expect the same respect,
that's right.
okay? And for you to say, because people have friends, okay? We all have friends, Miss Betty is a friend of mine, but so what? But that doesn't mean that things was done in a favor, because I don't do favors and I don't receive favors to get things done.
Well,
When I ask for something like you said, if it's supposed to go to the board, then Clarissa should have known that, and
that's what I'm talking about.
and what's in there, but it's nothing
But
to
I'm
do with
glad,
no
I'm glad you
friendship.
brought it up, Clarissa, because when she came over to the table, she was listening to you and what you said, and she said to me, well, you know, let's move ahead. So that's where it was coming from.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
between you and her.
Okay, but that's where it was coming from. So it ain't that I had it between you, but I do feel that way, because that's what we have been experiencing these all people on the board. And like I said, I don't care who it is, if there's a chairperson, I'm going with the chairperson.
Well, in future, if there is any issues, brought to any of us, our attention, certainly the first person to go to is the district manager, because he manages the office.
You're right.
And then if he has to pull in whatever chair he has to pull in, and then, of course, the chair of the board as well. That should be the protocol, if I'm correct. That's
Yes.
the way it has been and should be. Okay.
Change the command.
Yeah,
I'm in
Exactly.
agreement with that, I'm in
Exactly.
agreement with that. I
Okay.
just wanna make it clear, I don't do things with no friendship or anything like that.
Well,
I try and do things the right way.
Well, I don't doubt that you do things the right way, but I've seen things done the other way, and that's the way I feel. You're entitled to what you say and what you feel, and I respect you, and I respect you, and that's where it's going down.
Does anybody else have any comments on the town hall meeting? And we were all there, so. The only thing I wanna say is, I think I was a little disappointed that there was already something going on before we got there. It was a bit of a surprise, because I got there early at 1:00, and we were supposed to kind of run through things and figure out, and we weren't able to do that because the hospital police had their ceremony going on, which, unfortunately, we're a stepchild of Lincoln. We're not, they come first, whatever happens for their facility comes first. But it kind of threw us a little bit, at least it did me. Going forward, I would like to have had a little bit more time in between them leaving and us starting to
So
set
that's what I
Yeah.
thought was gonna happen,
Yeah,
what you had
but
said we was going to do.
It didn't happen because of that, but that was unforeseen, because we were there, and then it was a kind of a surprise, and when I looked at their pamphlet, it was supposed to happen at 10:00 in the morning, so I didn't understand why they went from 10:00 in the morning to 1:00 in the afternoon. So anyway, that, like I said, we didn't have that. Considering that, I think it went off pretty well without a hitch. We had a lot of audience participation, we had a lot of questions. They answered the questions that we gave them, written questions, and promised to get back to people. Now, I don't know if they did or not, but that's what they promised to do. I definitely want to follow up. You have to give them a little bit of time. I guess when we come back in the fall, we will follow up and see if the complaints is still out there and how frequent are the complaints, and if we have to hold them to task again. Like Ms. Goodwin says, we have to keep on top of these things, because, these big agencies, we're just a little fraction of their problem, so.
She had reached out to me in reference to one of my complaints,
Oh, good,
the big one.
good.
So I sent her the information.
Okay, that's perfect. So, are we done with the town hall?
I'm just gonna ask one thing. The young lady that did the presentation, I lose everything. I need her number again, if possible. In fact, you don't have to, I can go
Yeah,
and talk about it now.
So that was the vice
Second.
president, so that like I always share the information for the, I
Yeah,
can share the information to the coordinator. The vice president is is someone that works directly with us. But I can share her staff,
Okay.
person's
Yeah.
information with you, so you can follow up.
Someone in the staff.
She did, and I can also share a presentation that had all the contact information on the presentation at the end, so I'll share that with you, before we leave. Is that okay with you?
yeah.
Mr. Jordan, do you have anything to add?
I just want to say that this is a great opportunity for us to, and thank the chair for her leadership and everyone on the committee, that we could think of many more events for seniors to be able to host. I'm glad that we're back here in our space, and that there are other spaces of the district. That I have had opportunity to talk to a lot of my colleagues at the senior centers that were participating with this event, and they wanted to also host us at the senior centers also. It's like we were invited to host at the senior center and ¿cómo se llama? Borinque Court. So I'm excited about this. Please engage our team about more ideas that impact you as a senior in this community. I know that's one more that the chair we did financial security that we did at Borinque Court, and we did accessory. If there are more things that you are impacted with, please share with us. I know that one of the things that's going to be confusing in the future is going to be the cuts that the federal government is making to healthcare, and so with the chair's permission, we will want to start having more of a conversation to clarify what's going to be happening with Medicaid, Medicare, and also the rumors that are happening with Social Security, given that what's likely happening with the cuts. And then the last thing, I think that the other thing we talked about was about the impact of the services at the post office. That's a big thing. And so I've been talking to our Bronx postmaster, because I know that all the seniors who especially go to the post office on the first, or pick up packages, or need to get their mail, are in an enormous amount of pain and about having to wait on that line. And it's not a dedicated line, just like we talked about at the banks for seniors, at least as we get closer to the first of the month, that impacts it. So please make sure that you talk with the chair, who will talk with us about the staff, so we can start focusing on great things to do with you guys in the summer. Thank you, Chair.
Can I add on to that?
Okay.
The pharmacists also, like CVS, you go to CVS, you stand in line to get your medication, and then they tell you that they don't have the medication, and then tell you to go to another line. So you have to stand in a second line in order to speak with someone prior to why your medication wasn't there or isn't there. So I think that that's too much for a senior. I think they should have a special line for seniors.
And their lines are long, because I was just there a couple of weeks ago and I left because of the line, and then I went back and I did exactly what you said. I was on one line, went up to her, she said, nope, you gotta go to that line. I said, well, I wanted to ask you a question, but she wouldn't let me. You know, I said, I just wanted to ask if I'm on the right line, but I agree with you. Yes, Ms. Goodwin.
Some of us seniors were asked to, since a lot of the retail was shut down, find a pharmacy close to you. Try dealing with someone close in your area,
A smaller
a
pharmacy.
smaller pharmacy. That's number one. So some of us, we deal with this one up here, and they deliver,
Yes, feel good.
and they deliver. Then you got
What's the name of that?
Feel Good.
Feel Good.
But you got pharmacies on 30th Street,
Yeah, we do.
and then you got one here.
I have Mott Haven if I
You see,
need to.
this is what we were just talking about, right? This is what the community board is supposed to be doing. When a retailer closes it down in the district, the community board is supposed to be doing the outreach, finding out what other pharmacies in your district can provide the services that you will no longer have. You're not supposed to wait till it's shut down. So once Rite Aid or whatever that was shut down, we needed to link up with those pharmacies on 138th Street and see who would be accommodating. But it's up to you as the individual to see that service, you teach that service. Because there's no way we can expect CVS to do fill in for all that's closed down.
Yeah, that's why
No
CVS
way.
is the way it is, because,
Us up here would have to go to 161st Street by the courthouse.
Yeah.
So what I did, telling my neighbors, all of us, we got together and let everybody know this pharmacy is here and they deliver. Now I haven't checked out this one and I service this one. Because there are pharmacies on the Hunts, you have to be willing to go to them. That's all I'm saying.
do they do that at Barinkin? Do they give out information about the different pharmacies? Nothing?
What pharmacy do you use?
And some pharmacy next to
Are
the
you
Pioneer,
satisfied with them?
I don't have any problem because.
Oh, thank God.
On
I'm the only
138th
one.
Street, it's on
Yeah,
138th?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them in the community.
I can go, they deliver my medicine to my house.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they do delivery, but it's.
But you had to do that yourself.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so,
sometimes you got, Linda, what you're saying is true. But that's why I chose this one up here. Because some of the services ain't correct. And then sometimes my doctor calling in, he calling up 30-day supply.
can
or
you guys
90
get
days.
us a list of all the pharmacies within our area? And,
That's a topic for health and human services.
Yes.
but it could be a code with health and
Yeah,
seniors,
senior.
we can do it with
Because
that.
as the chair, you can visit, that's what I was saying, we're supposed to visit these places and say,
Yes,
community board
That's
member,
something we can
what can you
co-chair
offer?
with health and
Yeah,
human
that would be good.
services, because if it's a lot of pharmacies, it's a lot.
That's why I said, I went on page, I see there's a lot of pharmacies up there. I don't know if they're good or bad.
I use CVS because when I go on vacation or I go out of town, CVS is the only one. If I forget my medication, like my eye drops or something, I can call CVS and they'll send it to wherever I am. Like if I'm in Georgia, they'll send
Oh,
it
really?
somewhere
Oh,
in
that's
Georgia.
good to
Just
know.
do that too.
That's good to know.
So yeah, so that's why I stick with CVS.
Okay, so not only the pharmacists, we have to see what services they provide,
Exactly.
especially for seniors.
Mhm.
Like, people said that delivered, I remember my mom, the local pharmacy used to deliver to her, they even call her and say,
I
you know,
think the nearest CVS other than that one is in Harlem. I don't even think there's another one around.
I'd like to also add that it is also up to your medical insurance if they pay for that cost to have your pharmacy deliver. So it also has to do with not only if your pharmacy does it, but if your insurance pays that cost to do that. And so you might want to inquire with your
with Medicaid, Medicare.
Medicare or whatever provider you have that ensure that is something that you can that your insurance will pay for to have it delivered. I understand that. As I say, I want to add to this that sometimes, without shining on any one pharmacy, people like to deal with a pharmacist that knows the medication you're taking,
Mhm.
because sometimes pharmacists, because doctors will write prescriptions, and as the doctor doesn't catch it, the pharmacist's job is to catch.
Right.
But not that one medication causes an effect that
Or interact with your other
medications, yeah. And so you have to be very careful,
Right, you're right.
because the pharmacist will remind you, hello, Charlie, make sure you don't take this 2 hours after you take this, because if not, you'll be on the floor
You're right.
with a handful of pills, and because you take them all together, and the doctor's just trying to sometimes move on. And again, not trying out any one pharmacist or any one doctor, but I also have been in that had experience with a loved one that has like wonder why medication is not working, because the other medication you're taking is canceling out that medication, and you're still having
Absolutely.
some sort of symptoms. So
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good-
Are you talking about new projects? Are we talking about new projects?
Are we done with that pharmacy issue? We could move on
Yeah.
to, we're still in new business. So, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about, and I brought it up yesterday at the district meeting, and some other boards is doing it too, getting ready bags. If we can get somebody to provide the ready bags.
What's a Brady bag?
Years ago, they were giving out book bags. And it was, if you have a disaster or something.
Oh, so for disaster.
That's disaster bags, and I think that we need to get into that.
Is this specifically for the seniors, you mean?
No, it's for anybody,
Anybody?
but it's a great help to the seniors because.
So it's free? It's a free
Yeah,
bag?
they had programs that was given them out.
Yeah, when you come to the
Do you
city.
know?
Who was the gentleman I asked
Okay.
about yesterday?
Hakeem was doing it.
No, there was a gentleman at the meeting that asked about it.
From the Department of Social Services or one of the
The
agencies.
young guy was sitting over here.
Right. I have to check with you, but I know exactly what you're talking about. So there's two types of ready bags. The one that you're talking about, there was something that the Office of Emergency Management with the mayor's office was doing to go back because this is way before COVID. This is like some time ago. It was the green bag, and you had CERT folks that will wear the green jackets and plus respond to emergency management related issues. And for seniors, it was even better that they had a certain amount of their medication or certain of their personal documents. So in case there's a fire or something in their building, instead of gathering all their things, they gather that one bag that will give them the ability to be able to be in the interim, to be in the gap, to be able to have a go bag that will provide them with some ability to not have to try to worry about gathering everything before they go out the door, because we have had some devastating fires in the Bronx. People have not been able to go back after fires to get their medication or get the other life-saving information, including birth certificates and other stuff. But if you had a to-go bag or a to-go case, you will carry that out. It's usually in the closet next to the front door or by the front door that you pick it up and you go in case of emergency, so that you are you have the ability to be able to survive if you're in a hotel or somewhere until you go back into your apartment and gather your documents if you can in case of a fire. And so
that's why I brought it up, because a lot of those people in the fires and talking with people from other boards, they were saying that if they had a suitcase or something they could grab when they went out that door, but to go out the door, you don't have nothing, your medication or nothing. So some of us in the Bronx is thinking about, maybe we can get somebody to do an initiative, we can pass the word around and get that. The only thing about a go bag, like we said, just to reiterate to people, always check the expiration dates on them as you give them out.
Yeah,
teach people
periodically you
to
have to check.
periodically check the expiration date, moving ahead, because like you said, it's so many fires and stuff.
Too many.
We just had that workshop at the senior center, Patterson Senior Center. And they came twice. They didn't have to go back, but they gave me information where you can, I'll give it to you, where you can set it up to make appointments. And maybe you can get them to come out and have that workshop and give go bags, because I have gone, so I got 3.
No, they could come to us first as a committee, and then we could
That's
write
what I'm
it out
saying.
and bring it to the other
That's what I'm
senior
saying.
centers, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, we're still in the new business. I have a couple of topics to bring up in new business. Anybody else? Okay. Something that had come up mainly during the winter months. I know sometimes it's hard for us during inclement weather to get out, to come to the committee meetings. So, there's a possibility that we can continue to be a standing committee, which means we would meet every month, or we can be what's called an ad hoc committee, which means we would meet when we need to meet. Now, it doesn't matter to me, but I wanted to throw that out to the membership to see what people felt. Any comments? Ready?
I'm gonna meet just when it's necessary.
That would be what's called an ad hoc committee.
Is that permitted, Mr. Jordan, that we can do an ad hoc committee, or is it standard that the committees meet on a regular basis? Is there policy?
So it's my understanding that this committee was, while it was part of another committee in previous leadership of the board, this is the actual committee of the, and the bylaws of the community board. But as the frequency for the meeting is determined by the membership and the chair. And so, and want to be able to make sure that, depending how much seniors feel like they want to be active, and I'm paraphrasing what you're saying, Chair, that want to manage folks' expectations, because we want to make sure that the attendance has been, give or take, not as passionate from time to time. So we want to make sure that we want to make sure we have enough time, have enough issues, a lot of work to get done to ensure that we're meeting at that time. So again, it's up to, like the chair's doing, is putting it up to you, the members, to say, what do you want to do?
So we could meet if we absolutely have to meet, but I don't want to put any extra pressure on people, especially during the winter months when the weather is bad and we're not feeling well, to come out. It also puts a lot more responsibility on the staff. You know, they have to get the stuff together. We have to get an agenda together. They have to set up the TV and all that stuff. So, you know, it's work for everybody, but you can also try to, and I know it's the evening meetings are a little bit more difficult for people. We had at one point said we wanted to meet with the education and youth, and I did speak to Stephanie a little bit about it, and we thought of an idea of having what's called a casino night for the seniors. That could either be rolled out during the summer, or we can wait till we come back in the fall. I don't like to put demands on people's summer because I know people go away and they have other responsibilities, but we can at least start planning it. Maybe have a couple of meetings with the youth and education and start planning it for the fall. So that was one opportunity, as a casino night. And number two would be, I don't know if I would call it a prom night, or I would call it just a going out night, or a night for a social event, okay, which a lot of us do not get out these days. I don't know about you guys, but, you know, I don't. So it would be an opportunity for us, you know, to get together. That could be done like a one-time deal. We would find a place, hire a place, have a DJ or something like that, and, you know, we could dress up a little bit, and make it open to all the senior centers in the community. That's another possibility. And, you know, these are just thoughts that we can start planning for the fall. Anybody else have any ideas in terms of things that we can do for the fall of the coming? Well, you know, a lot of it depends, because if we do elections in June, doesn't that mean that for September, we're gonna have a new chairman, and then that means that chairman that's gonna pick the new chairs, right? If that happens,
Yeah.
if that happens, so,
This whole,
yeah, so if we do vote in June for a new chairman, that means that chairman now picks the new chairs of all the committees. So I may not be here, or I may, you never know. So, you know, I don't wanna plan too many things, because that new person may have their own ideas, or, you know, total committee. But I'm really happy to see the turnout today, people coming out, and we have a lot of good ideas. We did a lot of good discussions, so I'm happy about that. There's a lot of things happening in the health of us seniors, which is new. I mean, there are specific gerontologists, which are doctors that specifically deal with our age group. And there's a lot of new things happening in terms of science, in terms of things that we need to do to help us live, you know, lives that we can still function, okay? And I worked in the health field for over 40 years, so that's kind of my primary area to look into. I would like to see a series of lectures going to all the senior centers as to the minimal things that we need to do to help us for the next 10 years, let's say, so that we can stay as active as possible. You know, not only physical health, but mental health as well. I recently went on YouTube. I don't know if does everybody have access to YouTube? Okay,
Can I ask you something?
go ahead.
You were saying if there is a change in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
with the new term, does the bylaws really give the the
New chair.
manager, or the right to determine what to do? Can they suggest it, and the board has to vote on it? So maybe if the new person decide you be chairman, but yet the board votes to say, I should be chairman. Does the bylaws really say that? Give them that right
That
to
power,
pick and choose who they want to do certain stuff?
I don't know. Jody, do you know? Does the,
I could answer a bylaws question
Yeah.
about that, but not about the election. So the bylaws, according to it selects the leaders or the chairs of each of the committees. That's what the bylaws do.
They what
Chair-
now? How you
The
say?
bylaws say whoever is the chair of the full board selects the chair of the committees.
so the new chair would pick the new chairs of all the committees. They can keep the same chair or they can pick new chairs, so it's,
but it's up to worker, why you gonna change it?
well,
Oh, no, I-
that's
So I'm
totally.
just saying, but
I deal a lot with bylaws.
You would think-
Bylaws as a whole.
Well,
So I just
But I
asked a question.
understand her question. Her
Yeah.
question is, say if I'm the chair and I pick Ms. Burns, but you have 6 or 7 committee members who say, we would like for somebody else to be chair.
So
Do they have that right? Can the chair yield to what the members want, or can the chair say, no, that I am the chair, X, Y, and Z? I've never, well, you was our vice chair, and we never had that problem.
Yeah, but I just asked the
Yeah,
question
but-
because
but
we
this
have
is-
so
this
much
is
stuff going on now.
On this board.
And see, that's why we need to.
Well, according to them, remember, we have new bylaws,
But there's nothing in the bylaws to address what she said.
No, I know.
the bylaws.
You would think
You have a
common,
copy of them, don't you?
common sense would prevail, but common sense doesn't always prevail, but if the community board chair picks a certain person, but then the committee members say, no, we prefer that person, you would hope that there would be a conversation
Yes.
between the committee and the board chair. That's what I would think would happen.
Well, that would be the reasonable thing.
Yeah,
to do.
of course.
Yes, I just
Well,
believe.
that's thing that's
I just
always
like
be
to
open,
clear things up.
because the bylaws are the bylaws, but it's always, you can add the flexibility.
The bylaws today might be a little, what I wanna say, a little of yesterday, and it might not get rid of the bylaws, not rewrite them, but amend certain stuff of the bylaw. It might be, need to be.
Well, it's too
It don't
late to
compromise
amend the
something.
it's too late to amend the bylaws
I
now.
don't want to do that.
Yeah,
But I just wanna say this, Betty, I read the bylaws, I read them when they did them, and I saw them. I don't think I think what has been confusing with the bylaws, that most people don't know them. So they don't know what you're supposed to really follow.
Right.
They were changed, don't correct me if I'm wrong, the present bylaws were changed from the past bylaws, there was some change.
There was some amendments that the full board voted
I
on.
think the problem that people are experiencing now is that you have 13 committees. When we were on, some committees was combined. We didn't have as many meetings, and we got together on one accord, those committee chairs with the committee. So we all kind of worked it out. In the case of now, in the past 2 years, you have 13 committees. And it's hard to get a quorum. It's hard to get people on one accord. When you've
I
done
know
this.
that, I
I
know.
look to y'all done this. So,
I just asked.
Ms. Burns, I'm
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say, for me, our majority rules. But in all honesty, I think we should wait until after the elections to see what pans out.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
When you come up time for y'all don't have what you call election? That you nominate people? Instead of
you
just
mean for
saying
what?
one
For-
per,
For
when
the
you,
chair, for the community
No,
board
no.
chair?
when you get ready to have your new people, the chair, or you have someone to come in and hold that election, they declare all offices vacant. And then you pick a leader. You say, okay, I nominate Ms. Goodwin as the chairperson, or whatever. Then you go on to the next one. Everybody is elected instead of just saying.
No, that
No,
doesn't
that's
happen.
not-
That's what I'm asking.
That's not the way the
No,
city
no.
board
That's not-
have run it. Mr. Jordan, can you explain it? Because it's the chair, the vice chair, and the second chair that's elected by the whole board. The board does the election. That's it. when it comes to any type of committee, correct me if I'm wrong. 'Cause I've been a chair,
Well, yeah, I know the person can pick the committee, yeah,
well, it's the chairperson that picks the committee. But
Yeah,
there are
yeah, you
only,
can do that.
there are only 3 electoral
Oh,
positions.
you
The chair, the first chair, and the second chair.
Oh, okay. You did. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we finished with that now.
Okay, moving on, moving on, moving on, okay. I was on YouTube yesterday and I watched a interview with Commissioner Lorraine Cortez Vasquez, which is Commissioner of Aging, New York City Aging. And the program is called Aging Out Loud. And she interviewed a woman, Claudette Macy from Brooklyn. And the term, I don't know how they coined that phrase, aging out loud, which means that, we are proud and loud of being seniors. Okay, and this is something that's been going around, and I think they started it in Brooklyn, but I kind of thought it was kind of interesting, because a lot of times they want us to kind of, stay in the background, when you're an older citizen. And there's a lot of ageism out there, not only mostly for seniors, but also for very young. And we kind of get put in a category, okay, you're old, stay in your lane, whatever. No, I got to this age, I've lived a good life, I'm proud to say that I'm this age, and I have a lot to offer, okay? And it's important for people to listen to us because we have the wisdom. Unfortunately, they don't, but they do. So I recommend, it's supposed to be a monthly video. It's on YouTube. It's called Aging Out Loud. And it's with the commissioner and she interviews people on a regular. I did not know that June 15th is World Elder Abuse Day. Did anybody else know?
I knew about elder abuse day, I didn't have the date.
Yeah, it was June 15th. And also, we just missed, May was,
Yes, June 15th, no, it's coming up.
it's coming up, yeah. And there's supposed to be elder abuse, elder justice programs in all 5 boroughs. And they encourage people to contact them via Aging Connect. The number is 212-244-6469. That's 212-244-6469. And that's for the elder abuse / elder justice program in the 5 boroughs. Okay, we also I didn't realize that May was senior month.
Yeah,
Okay, we should have done something, but we didn't. We did.
6469.
We can still do something. Did
Why not?
the senior centers do anything for May? No, not at all.
We don't have money.
We don't have money?
We did.
You did? What did you do?
We had like a luncheon and music. And we ate and then we dressed up the center.
Oh, that was nice.
We did a lot of things at Patterson.
Madison.
Can I just ask a question? We did stuff in the center for me, not the seniors, but the math program. We always do things for the
The
seniors.
what program? Math.
Math program, yeah.
The MAP.
It's different.
Oh,
for the
MAP,
senior.
M-A-P.
Yeah.
Math?
MAP.
MAPP.
Major Adams program, yeah.
Oh, okay, what is it, Major Adams program?
Yes.
Okay, who is that and what is that?
Well, it's a mixture of resident development. And it's like your stockholder in your development, what you're doing, and try to uplift your development. And whatever we usually do, we include the seniors. The seniors. Y'all get invited to everything.
So it's
Bingo night.
the Tanzas does it, but they include.
No. No, this is, I'm talking about mid house.
Oh, Major House,
Major House.
okay.
Yeah.
Then you advance it.
Yeah, that's, they have a math program.
We have a MAP program, but our MAP program and the TA do not work together.
Now, can I, go ahead. Why?
We,
But in order for the program
It's-
to be
it's
there, you have to
a loss.
okay it.
it's a long story. We just don't work together. And, our senior center, we do things on our own. As a matter of fact, our Patterson association, we do a lot of things in our development. Our seniors, we do a lot of things in our development, and we've done a lot of our own things in Patterson. We just had a meeting with, what's that, Drifter? And trying to get the things that's needed in our senior center that we don't have. And the fact that they went up on the luncheon from $1.25 to $2, and then the lunches that they serve, isn't appropriate or inappropriate. The fact that Diana Ayala gives money for the senior center to take trips and things like that, but we can't go on the trips because we don't have transportation.
Did you guys get any money from the councilwoman's office?
No.
No, okay.
No, Melrose and Patterson, and Borinquen
They
are
all live the
together.
same age.
What happened in Melrose, what happened in Borinquen, what happened in Patterson, what happened in Borinquen.
Okay, so she finds all three. Yeah.
I have to ask a couple of questions. The first thing, last week, your Assemblywoman, Amanda.
Septimo.
We went through Albany.
Mhm.
I went to
Yeah,
Mitchell.
you went.
I went to Mitchell.
Mhm.
Your daughter went to the association, whatever. Mahaven went, the young lady from Mahaven went. And before we got on the van or bus, whatever they wanna call it, cause five, just like in the morning. The first thing came out, the tenant association at Mitchell, where's Pat? Pat not here. You understand what I just said?
Mhm.
So regardless of what's going on, the Assemblywoman sees it as a package deal. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And we spent the day in Albany. We talked about the crime in the community. We talked about a whole lot of other stuff. Because when we had the, going through that, the co-patent or whatever we was going through,
Mhm.
they was working, even though we paid our rent. People that paid their rent going through it should have been able to get something. And I have to admit, Howard sent me a letter about 3 weeks ago telling me, when we had the COVID or whatever, just a percentage of what you pay for your rent. The only thing with that is that it didn't say, it said my name, but it said, I got 5 copies. One was in English, one was in Spanish. So I'm saying to myself, they really don't know who lives in public house. Okay, nobody should know about that. It was a young lady with Pam and Marcia. She said, oh yeah, I've received the same letter. But I'm saying the rest of the people from Mitchell, from the developments and stuff, they didn't know what we were talking about. You understand? Again, we got on the amount of traffic or crime or whatever went on in the last 6 weeks, 6 months. We just lost a kid in my development. Okay? And the bottom line is that y'all don't realize, in order for that MAP program to be developed, you have to okay it. They cannot just go into a development and say, we set up shop. At one time, in order for them to be there, you had to okay it. Because they had to interview you. And if you come to my house and say, look, I'm gonna do this, and it's not done the way I want it done, we're gonna stop at gate 1, not go up. Because y'all get more money than me, and I'm pissed off about that. But
Absolutely.
y'all been around longer than me too. But it's all right. I'm not upset about that. But I'm just saying, y'all was one of the first.
Mhm.
Y'all was the first.
We were the first.
Okay?
No,
And I'm
that's
saying
it.
if something ain't working, you should speak on it.
You think I didn't?
Oh yeah, you did speak on it at
You think
Lincoln
I
Hospital.
did?
You spoke on it at
No,
Lincoln
I
Hospital.
spoke on it before Lincoln Hospital.
But you should have went to the stores, man.
We did. I did. And as far as the trip to Albany, where was Pat? Pat was at her doctor's appointment where she was
But
supposed to be.
did you know about this?
And yes, I did.
Okay, because that's because
Yes, I
Marsha and Pam was
I knew about
like
it.
they won't leave it. With Pat.
Because they know that I'm always in the midst of those things. I'm always there.
Guys, can we move? We
Oh,
only
yeah,
have
I'm
about
sorry.
5
I'm
more
sorry.
minutes left in the meeting. I don't wanna hold people up.
Yes.
I don't know about the seniors, I can't speak on it, but I can know this much. All the seniors up in Quad City, they get so much stuff, it's unbelievable. I don't know where the funding comes from. Maybe it's something you can look into. They get everything. They go on weekly trips. It's abundance. It's just so much. I go to a couple of centers and all my seniors want to do is play the piano. And they go to Walmart. Other than that, they can do much and nothing else.
Well, maybe that's something we need to look
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
in the
that's what I'm
future,
saying.
is
It's-
where, if this,
Yeah.
this area is getting this amount of money, how are they getting that money? And actually, we need to tap into the Department of Aging
Yeah.
to find out what monies are out there that
Yeah.
people can
Yeah.
solicit for and get, not only from the council, but assembly people, so on and so forth.
If the chair doesn't mind, I'm gonna have Diana from our team reach out today and find out from our senior centers the type of programming they have, each of the centers, and provide comprehensive feedback on what that is.
Are we meeting after June? This committee or we meeting?
Well,
This is September.
Well, if,
All right.
we can decide that today. Do we wanna meet in July? I mean, I'm going away August, it has to be July. Do we wanna meet in July, or do we wanna wait till September?
I want to wait till September.
I'm gonna wait till September.
Yeah.
And as far as those senior centers, a lot of senior centers are getting paid, they have paid by different agencies. You know, so they
Okay.
get more funding.
So we'll get all that information,
I'll share with by email also if you don't.
we'll share
We
with
can
us.
always, all of us can come up with something that we also bring to the table in September.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'll touch base with everybody to get people to start thinking about things they wanna bring up. I just wanna say one last thing before we adjourn, is on my walk here today, I came across at least 6 fruit and vegetable vendors. One guy selling pot with a big sign on of what he was selling and how much it was on, right in front of Foot Locker. Okay, the garbage is atrocious, the amount of garbage. That park is atrocious. I mean, there were drug addicts sleeping on the floor, sleeping on the benches, nodding off in the corners. I mean, I brought my granddaughter once and she saw somebody on the floor and I had to lie to her. She said, why is that person on the floor? I said, oh, they must have had some kind of medical emergency. Okay, so I will, it's not good for the seniors. It's not safe. It's not safe for children. That's a very busy area over there. We need to hold them accountable. There was some big meeting that they had. We had people from City Hall, Mr. Jordan went, Clarissa went, a bunch of people went, walked around. What happened? We don't see any changes.
Well, I was here for
And that was about 3 months ago that happened? 3 or 4 months ago? The head of the bid, all these people, we have to hold them accountable for what's happening in our community, and it's not good.
What district who is the council person for this district of the hub?
So the hub is shared by, depending on what side of the street
Is on.
this is on, it's Salamanca and Ayala. So it's shared by two, I don't know if the chair wants me to comment on.
But what's happening with the hub? What's you addressing this?
Okay,
What's
can I just say
Let's
something?
just see what's happening with the HUD because that's their responsibility, all them things you brought up.
And it's not,
Go ahead, Linda, quickly, and
we,
then
the
Mrs.
same
Jordan.
thing you're talking about now.
Yeah.
We brought that up last week at the 40th precinct. Everything that you have named. And yesterday, the 40th precinct had a breakfast and the young man that run the hub, I'm still trying to figure out, because he say he doing this, he doing that, he doing a whole lot of stuff. But believe me, if you see the amount of complaints that they don't adopt on the 40th precinct, they better open up their station there instead of being at 567 149th Street. Because everybody is complaining. And with the, what is that, Bank of America closing? They closed. They got the 149th Street.
Chase closed and Bank of America closed?
I'm talking about the
No.
little small Bank of America that sits on the
On the
138th
corner,
Street.
yeah, right on
They
the corner.
closed.
They closed too?
Yes, they closed. They have to close.
We, Krispy Kreme closed,
Kidding me? They have
Starbucks
to close.
closed.
Yeah. The same thing you talking about now, they were saying the same thing. Like,
We going backwards, back to the 60s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
everybody complain.
exactly.
Everybody complain.
Mr. Jordan?
And like you say, if they get enough of it,
But we
They
have
gotta
to
do
keep it up. We have to hold them accountable for
you
this.
definitely do.
We can't sleep on it, because they're sleeping on it.
Yeah, because you're gonna lose the merch. Right now,
Richie
Open up the
Torres
shop.
was out there one time.
I'm gonna open up a shop, I can go to
Same
the
thing.
store. That'd be crazy. No, but they work on it, believe me, they work on it.
Go ahead, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Chair. So I want to say to the senior,
Guys,
I want to say to this committee that every day, this is something that's on my team and all of our minds about trying to find out meaningful solutions about what to do with our community. Yes, like Ms. Goodwin hinted at, we are taking a step back to where we were at a time where it was very prevalent that we had a drug problem, whether it was heroin, crack, or whatever. And we have worked very hard to make sure that there are resources that are being dedicated to these issues. This is a Titanic ship problem, and it's not going to turn around within 1 month, 1 week, or 1 year. There are multiple agency approaches to this. The community board and different committees have discussed this. We have, because of our advocacy, we have dedicated 40 additional police officers only specifically for the hub.
didn't see one cop on my way here, not one.
Right, and that is a problem, and I definitely would share that with our commanding officer, because
Yes, please do.
when we hired a new commanding officer, we all sat down and decided to vote on a new commanding officer. He came with a promise to say that there would not be one cop in the precinct not idle, but all his officers would be out in the street with the resources that are going on. But not only do we have a long-term drug problem, we have our children out here with guns that unfortunately are killing each other. The mental health issue is a problem. We have an oversaturation of drug programs that, this coming here 2 years ago, these drug programs, methadone and other programs have been here and has been here for years. And you're right, Ms. Byrne, everybody and their cousin has toured Third Avenue. Deputy mayors, city councils, borough presidents, candidates for offices,
But you got one of them that's all offices on Third Avenue.
right, have toured, and tried to, so it has to be a multi-agency approach, because the frustration is that the police are frustrated because they do arrests and then the criminals come out the next day. Everything is arrestable offense. We can't find anyone who's gonna be the psychiatric hospitals, the centers are full. The drugs are more addictive, unfortunately, in this community than any other area of the city. 80% more addictive heroin is being sold by design. So there is no one response, but this is something that we do every day. Our team sits down, 301 complaints, from potholes to street lights out to petty crimes to trying to convince a merchant to open up in this area because they're being shoplifted to death and they can't even afford to keep their business open, because as soon as they open it up, someone is shoplifting and they're not being arrested. It seems like it's hopeless, but I'm dedicated, our team is dedicated every day to try to continue to work with the tools that we have to try to find solutions to be able to continue to be the squeaky wheel asking for the oil to continue to have this situation be resolved. But it doesn't happen this only with us, it happens to all of you. What you see to hear, that continue to come back to us to talk about it, and however daunting and troublesome it may be, we need to hear about it. We're a community board that does not spend our time in the office, we're outside in the streets. We all live in this community, so we see this all the time coming every day. So what I'm saying to you is I have hope, and I also have passion, and I also, like you, also have an eye to saying that we want to get this issue resolved. And it's my goal every day to think of creative stuff, out of the box stuff, sometimes very unpopular solutions to be able to help hopefully bring these issues to a close. But a lot of it has to do with the way the laws are written about what is arrestable, bail reform. There's a lot written about how much we have to be able to hold these organizations that are making millions of dollars dealing with this issue accountable. Millions of dollars. It's about trying to make sure every day that we are all the time holding our elected officials as partners, but also as an accountable figure to saying that we need to be able to help resolve these issues together. And so I need you guys' help as much as possible to be able to help think with me and about how to find solutions, about how to be able to deal with this, because believe me, the tools we have every day, we are using them. we're dealing, and I'm glad that you guys are bringing these issues to my concern. I want to continue to hear more about it. So, basically, what I'm saying is that we are working every day to try to use the tools. 301, these are at every meeting. If anybody who said that, because they see that almost every community meeting they got out there, whether it's a TA meeting or if it's a police community council meeting, we're on the Third Avenue Bid Council. We're thinking about how to reimagine what's going to happen with Berta Clemente Plaza, because
It's a
that
topic.
plaza, yeah,
It's a hell of a topic.
it's out
Out of control.
of control.
Yep.
It likely needs to be closed and reimagined.
Yep.
Because that's the eyesore, in my opinion, that every time somebody gets off the train or the bus, that's the first thing you see, and they're like, "What in the?"
Yep.
And so, and anybody want to open up a business, they look at the issues going around here, and they're not interested.
See, first of all, when they did that, in the beginning, wasn't that supposed to be,
Pop up,
it wasn't,
business.
no, I'm talking about the naming of the street.
Berta
It's
Clemente
part
Plaza,
of
who's mine?
the executive director from the Sports Foundation, Bob Wheeler, first of all. The street was supposed to be named after Bob Wheeler. In that, you know, oh, you've been around, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the way it was supposed
In the
to
plaza
go
as well?
down.
Mm.
And they still have found the, the foundation, because they have a fair every year. But that's, when they were supposed to rename that street after Bob Wheeler, part of the Sport Foundation. Do you remember him? Back Bob Wheeler, the Sport Foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that street was supposed to be named.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't supposed to be whatever we got now. It wasn't supposed to be.
No.
And they came to the community board, not once, not two, but a whole lot of times. And they had the solution, and it wasn't just. Okay?
I don't remember that. That might have been before my time, but I remember that it was
We did
supposed to
about-
be an area where you had businesses bring up the pop-up tents kind of things, where they would have several people
Extension.
and like little businesses, like they do down at Bryant Park, where people would set up their little wares for the day or whatever, and that's what it was supposed to be, and then, but it's not. It's a hangout for all these drug programs.
Nobody has ever dealt with NYCHA in any district like they should, period. They're on the news now. Housing up, look at the Channel 12, the mailboxes, everything. And that's something we never took on here. We need to take on NYCHA. If tenants are unhappy, whether it be mailboxes, elevators, whatever the case may be. If you're in NYCHA, you're sponsoring the senior center, are the seniors being taken care of,
Right.
period.
Right.
They're all getting money, and so the accountability should be across the board. And it's the community board, we don't used to go after these people, who would make them deal out what they get on a monthly, regular basis.
Georgia,
So
you
they-
know,
but I'm just saying, that's the problem now. We laid back. Let me tell you something.
Georgia, you
Community Board 1 is really being talked about out there now
got to be.
because of the district, period. Okay?
The Bronx in general, but
The Community Board 1, even at the recognition that the borough president gave, it wasn't but 5 or 6 of us there. And it was some boards, nobody showed up. Come on. This is a volunteer thing. If you don't want to do it, give it up.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't gonna do it right, give it up.
I agree.
This cannot be somebody's goals for them. We used to give all the time and say, boy, this is like working for money. But this is what it is. And we dropped the ball. I'm gonna say we, because we dropped the ball.
Okay, guys, it's 1:20 and I want to bring them in. Oh, Elena, tú no hablaste?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. What I want is to take a picture. Can I do it for everybody?
It's fine with me. Does anybody?
That's repulsion.
Okay, una foto.
People
Oh,
do not
sí.
want their picture. What is the picture for? ¿Para qué es?
I want to document my
Oh,
my
you-
record.
What you
Oh,
were saying, so I wish that I had known to invite you guys.
Everybody
Just
look at the camera for a minute. Pat, look
Real quick.
at the.
Le cogí
All
dos.
right, thank you. I
I'm
adjourned the
sorry.
meeting at 1:21 and then now if you want to talk, eat and talk. Yeah, we can continue